Sometimes you just really need to escape the noise of the office to a place where you can truly focus and do your best work. This year, I set out to design my home office to be exactly that: calm, focused, and inspiring. So in this video, I will walk you through my current setup and share all the thoughts behind each choice that I've made. Let's start with the desk and the chair. The desk is basically an IKEA hack. The base is the incredibly sturdy Idåsen sit-stand frame, and the tabletop is a Carlby kitchen countertop. I went with the kitchen countertop because it's only 60 centimeters deep, which is perfect since my office is quite small and narrow. Plus, I really wanted that walnut finish, and this was actually the only IKEA option that checked both of those boxes. The chair is also from IKEA. It's the Alefjäll model. The armrests aren't really adjustable, but they're about perfect height for me. The backrest provides great lower back support in my opinion, and the seat depth leaves about 2 fingers of space behind my knees, which is pretty much ideal. So even though it doesn't have a ton of adjustment options, it's surprisingly ergonomic for my body type. And in my opinion, it actually looks great too, especially for the price. Now let's dive into the tech setup. The monitor I'm using is the LG UltraGear 32GS95UV. It's a 4K OLED gaming monitor running at 240 Hz. The colors, contrast and text clarity are pretty amazing on this monitor, making it not only great for gaming but also for productivity work. I used to have a massive 57-inch ultra-wide monitor, which I did actually love, but after some prolonged neck and upper back issues, I had to downsize to something more ergonomic, and I'm actually happy that I did. The setup now looks super clean and my neck and back issues have improved dramatically. What I really like about this LG monitor is that it has uniform bezels all around and no flashy logos. I much prefer the minimalist, no visible brand aesthetic, not just for tech but also for clothes and interior design. Now, OLED does come with the risk of burn-in, especially for productivity work with a lot of static elements on the screen. But after more than 1,000 hours of use, I'm happy to report that there are virtually no signs of it yet. It also comes with a 2-year burn-in warranty, at least here in Sweden, which adds some peace of mind, at least for that period. Another reason I chose this monitor is, of course, gaming. I'm very much an occasional gamer these days, but I really think it's a nice way to relax sometimes. I have recently sold my 80X-size gaming PC, but I will soon replace it with a small form factor build that is a bit more discreet and blends in better with the setup. If there's one thing I wish that this monitor had, it would be USB-C or Thunderbolt input with power delivery, just to cut down on the cables. I could solve that with a Thunderbolt dock, but those are quite pricey and I haven't really been able to justify it. To make the setup as clean as possible, I always use monitor arms. The one I'm using here is the Max Mount Super Heavy Duty. It's a beast that supports up to 27 kilos, and I originally bought it for that massive Samsung monitor I used to have. For my current setup, it's obviously overkill, but I actually really like it. First of all, it's rock solid, but it also has both a USB-C and a USB-A port built into the base, which is super convenient. As far as I know, it's only available for purchase in the EU right now, but I've included a link in the description in case that's changed. You might have noticed that there's a light mounted behind the monitor. That's actually the Logitech Litra Glow, originally meant to be my key light for meetings. But since I barely used it and at the same time wanted some light behind the monitor, I did a little home hack with some adhesive tape and mounted it on the monitor arm instead. And honestly, I kind of love how it turned out. It adds some nice depth to the setup and makes the monitor look like it's floating even more in the air. Another big plus is that I can now adjust both the brightness and the color temperature directly from my computer, which is really convenient. I use 3 different devices depending on what I'm doing. First up is my MacBook Pro M2 Pro, which is my main device for content creation and general use like web browsing. It's 2 years old now, but it actually handles everything I throw at it. Apple's M chips are seriously impressive. Then I've got my work laptop, currently a Lenovo. Not the prettiest thing for sure, but I've managed to hide it pretty nicely behind the MacBook using a laptop stand. There's no desktop PC for gaming at the moment, but as mentioned earlier, I will be building a small form factor one soon. Since I switch between 3 devices daily and use both macOS and Windows, I wanted something that works seamlessly across all of them. So I went with the Logitech MX Keys Mini. I very much prefer low-profile keyboards in general, and this one lets me switch between my devices with just a click of a button. It also has both Mac and Windows key layouts, which makes it perfect for my setup and needs. My mouse is the Logitech MX Master 3S, one of the best mice ever made in my opinion. The quiet buttons are super nice, and I use the gesture button for switching between desktops all the time. Also, those incredibly smooth scroll wheels are really kind of addictive. Just like the keyboard, I can switch between my 3 devices instantly with a click of a button. I actually used to have the white version, which I very much preferred, but it got so discolored over time, so I felt like I had to swap it for the darker one. Audio is arguably one of the most important parts of a home office setup, not just for recording videos like this, but for meetings too. To avoid a complicated setup with an audio interface and amplifier, I went with the Elgato Wave 3. It's a USB mic that requires only one cable. It has clean, clear sound, a built-in pop filter, and also automatic level correction to prevent clipping. The voiceover you're hearing right now is actually coming from this microphone. I've also added an extra pop filter and a shock mount, which is not really necessary, but I kind of like how they look. One of my favorite features is the touch to mute button on the top. The LED turns red when muted, which can be a lifesaver in meetings when you're about to say something you shouldn't. The mic is mounted to Elgato's low profile arm, which is great because it stays out of the way while typing and working. And best of all, when I'm done, I can just swing it back behind the monitor. My daily driver is the AirPods Pro 3. And together with the Elgato mic, they make a great setup for video calls. I've actually owned every generation of AirPods Pro since they came out, and honestly, they might actually be my favorite tech gadget ever. Before that, I used to wear over-ear headphones like the Bose QC35s, but ever since the AirPods Pro came out with their amazing noise cancellation in such a small and compact form factor, I've pretty much stopped using anything else, both for work and personal use. The speakers are the Creative Pebble V3s, probably the least hi-fi part of my setup. They are cheap little USB speakers that I got because my monitor didn't have any built-in ones. For 30 to 40 bucks, I would say they're worth it, and I actually like the minimalist look of them. Sound-wise though, they're really nothing special, but since I mostly use headphones, I haven't really been able to justify spending more. That said, at some point I will probably upgrade these to something more hi-fi. For video calls, I use the Logitech StreamCam, which is a 1080p 60fps webcam that does pretty much exactly what I needed to do. I'm sure there are better and more expensive webcams out there, but I decided to spend that money on a good audio setup instead. And honestly, if you're deciding between upgrading your mic or your webcam, I would say always go for the mic. It makes such a big difference. The camera is mounted on top of the Xiaomi Mi computer monitor light bar. Adding a light bar is actually something I wish I would have done way sooner. Not only is it practical, but it also adds some nice shadows and contrast to the desk area. This version is super clean looking. It has no visible logos, and it also costs way less than many other options. The control also lets me adjust brightness and color temperature easy. Last but not least, this is one of my favorite accessories, to the point where I've actually bought 3 of them. It's the Belkin 3-in-1 MagSafe charger, which lets me charge my iPhone, Apple Watch and my AirPods all at the same time. It's completely replaced cables for basically all my Apple devices except my MacBook. I love the minimalist design, and it also doubles as a great nightstand or desk clock. They are not cheap for sure, but honestly, I think they're totally worth it. I did actually kind of wish I bought them sooner. Alright, that wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed this tour. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this in the future. Alright, see ya!